Hello, this is Karen. Welcome to Bead with me. Today we are going to bead a net pattern glass float cover. You will need a size 11 needle, some 6-pound fire line, 11/0 beads, and 8/0 beads to start with. I'm using these 11/0 blue beads, aquamarine, and also 11/0 gold beads. And these are the 8/0 gold beads. This is the 6-pound fire line that I'm going to use. That's a bead stop and a size 11 needle, beading needle. So let's get started. You're going to start off by threading together 15 8/0s and 32 11/0s. An 8/0 to 11/0s and 8/0 to 11/0s all the way to the end of the string until you have 16 11/0s, 8/0s. Then you're going to turn that and you're going to sew your needle back through all those beads, starting where you started the string of beads. You're going to be making a loop. Make sure the needle goes through every bead. And then pull your thread all the way through to make a loop. I'm pulling my thread down through close to the start or the end of the thread where the bead stop is. Okay, and there's our loop. I'm going to take the bead stop off now and tie a couple of knots in that loop to secure it. You want it to be a good knot, but you don't want your beads to be too tight, so you can pull them apart a little bit so they're not too tight. And there's the start of the top of our beaded float cover. Taking my needle and feeding it down through some beads. However many you want to bead sew through. And we're going to pull our needle out through an 8/0 gold bead. So now I'm putting some 11/0 gold beads on the mat, along with the 11/0 blue beads. We're done with the 8/0 gold beads for now. I'm picking up 2 blue 11/0s, 1 gold 11/0, and 2 blue 11/0s. And we're going to sew our needle into the next 8/0 gold bead. And that will be the start of our first round of a net pattern. So we're going to pick up 2 blue, 1 gold, and 2 blue. And then sew your needle through the next 8/0 gold bead. Okay, 2 blues, 1 gold, and 2 blues. Sew into the 8/0 gold bead. And you're going to continue that pattern all the way around. Okay, so we finished that pattern all the way around. And our thread, we're going to take our needle and sew it up through 2 of the blue 11/0s and the gold 11/0 on the top of that first triangle pattern. We're going to do the same pattern as we did on the last row, 2 blue 11/0s, 1 gold, and 2 blue. And you're going to sew into the next gold bead in the next triangle. Okay, again, 2 blues, 1 gold, and 2 blues. And sew into the next gold bead. Two blue, 1 gold, and 2 blue. Into the next gold bead. And you're going to continue that all the way around until you get back to where we started. Two blue, 1 gold, and 2 blue. Okay, we'll see you at the end. Okay, we finished that second round. This is the last repeat of that pattern. You're going to sew through that gold bead where we started, go up through the 2 bleeds and the gold bead on the first diamond pattern you made on that second round. So that was 2 repeats of the 2 blue, 1 gold, and 2 blue. So now we're going to pick up 3 blue, 1 gold, and 3 blue. And you're going to sew up into that next gold bead. And this is the same stitch pattern you're going to be doing for the whole net part of the float pattern. We're just going to be increasing how many blue beads we add. So it's 3 blue, 1 gold, and 3 blue for the third round. And you're going to continue that pattern of 3 blue, 1 gold, and 3 blue. Sewing it into the next top gold bead. Continue that all the way around till you get to back where you started. Okay. Finishing off that third round. Sewing up through the 3 blue beads and the gold bead of that first triangle pattern. For the next round, you're going to do the same pattern of 3 blues, 1 gold, and 3 blues all the way around. So basically we're doing 2 rounds of each number of blue beads until we complete a count of 6 blue beads, 1 gold bead, and 6 blue beads. So on this row it was 3 blue, 1 gold, and 3 blue. Always sewing into that next gold bead at the top of your diamond pattern there, or triangle pattern. Okay, continue that all the way around until you finish that round. Finishing up that round. Sewing up through the 3 blue beads and coming out of the gold bead. Okay, now we're going to start the next round. On this round, we're going to pick up 4 blue beads, a gold bead, and 4 blue beads. So that's 4 blue, 1 gold, and 4 blue. Sewing through that top gold bead. And I have a bead that is too small, the hole is not wanting to go through the needle. So I had to take my beads off and pick up a different needle. And sometimes that will happen. So 4 blues, 1 gold, and 4 blues. And of course, this is just for my color combination. If you choose to do a different color, you will do the same pattern just with whatever color of beads you chose to do. So 4 blues, 1 gold, and 4 blues. Into the top gold bead. And then you're going to finish that round with the same pattern of 4 blue, 1 gold, and 4 blue. Okay, finishing up that round. Gonna sew up through the 4 blue beads and gold bead from the first loop that you made. And you're going to repeat that 4 blues and 1 gold and 4 blues on this round also. And this is increasing the size of the met pattern so that it will fit around your glass float. So 4 blue, 1 gold, and 4 blue. So into the next gold bead at the top. And continue all the way around until you get to the end of that round. Okay, we're finishing up that last round of 4 blue, 1 gold, and 4 blue. So up through those 4 blue beads and the gold bead. And then we're going to pick up 5 blue beads, 1 gold blue bead, and 5 blue beads for this next round. So that's 5 blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue.
Are you a happy little girl? Yeah, happy girl.
So 5 blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue. So through that next top gold bead. And again, you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. 5 blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue.
Do you want to go? Okay.
Okay, we're finishing up that round. So up through those first 5 blue beads and the gold bead. Okay, so we're continuing with that 5 blues, 1 gold, and 5 blues round. Sewing in through that gold bead on the top. Now, as you can see, I'm getting short on thread. So I think I have enough thread to do one more set of 5 beads of gold and 5 beads. Now you don't have to let your thread get this short before you decide to end it and sew it in. So I'm just going to sew into that gold bead and down through the 5 blue beads there in the gold bead. I'm going to do a slip knot, probably should have left more thread. Work your needle back through that knot. Then work your needle up through some more beads. I have to rethread my needle. They could put a bigger eye on these needles. And pull that thread through. Another knot. Oh, I'm going to sew up through more beads. Oh, and then I'm going to do a knot. Just going to use my pliers. Okay. Okay, I've rethreaded my needle and my beading work, continuing on with 5 blues, 1 gold, and 5 blues. We're almost to the end of this round. Okay, one more. Pattern of 5 blues, 1 gold, and 5 blues. So I went through that gold bead you started with, up through the 5 blue beads, and through the gold bead at the top. Okay, now we're going to start the next round, which will be 6 blue beads. Six blue beads. One gold. And 6 blue beads. And we will do 2 rounds of 6. And this is our last increase. So 6 blues, 1 gold, and 6 blues. And you'll continue all the way around that row repeating that pattern of 6 blues, 1 gold, and 6 blues. And sorry, my head got in the way there. And the sun is going down and shining on my work table. So up through the gold bead, and then continue that all the way around to where you started. Okay, so we're finishing that round. The first round is 6. So picking up the last 6 blue beads, a gold, and 6 blue beads. So in through the gold bead that you started with that round with, up through those 6 blue beads, and out the gold bead on the top. Now we're going to check to see how our beaded net pattern is looking. We want that beaded net pattern to come about halfway down the ball, down the float. And I think it could use another round of 6 beads. So we're going to continue with 6 beads on the next round. 6 blues, 1 gold, and 6 blues. This repeat pattern is very easy, so you can easily have the TV on or listen to an audiobook or listen to music or whatever you want to do that's relaxing while you're beading. So continue that pattern of 6 blues, 1 gold, and 6 blues all the way around till you get to where you started on that row. Six blues, 1 gold, and 6 blues. I sound like a broken record. Okay. Continue. Doing our last pattern as 6 blues, 1 gold, and 6 blues. So in through that gold bead, up through those 6 blue beads and out the gold bead. And then check how this fits on the float. And that looks good. About halfway down the float. So the next round, we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to pick up 5 blue beads. That's 5 blue beads, 1 gold bead, and 5 blue beads. Sew into that gold bead. Five blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue. And again, this is a decrease round. Five blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue. You want to continue that all the way around where you started that round, just like all the other rounds. Okay, finishing up that round of 5 blues, 1 gold, and 5 blues. Going up through those first 5 beads and the gold. Another 5 beads, a gold, and 5 blues. Continuing with our 5 blues, 1 gold, don't like that bead, and 5 blues. You want to pick beads that are all about the same size. Sometimes there are beads in the tubes that aren't the right size. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're longer. Okay, we're going to fit this on our ball and see how it's looking. That's looking good. So we're going to continue that pattern of 5 blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue to finish off that round. And there's my head again. Okay, we'll see you at the end of the round. Five blue, 1 gold, and 5 blue. Sewing in through this gold bead where we started the round, through the 5 blue beads, and coming out the gold bead. We're going to do a slip stitch there, make a knot. Secure those beads. Let's see how this is fitting. Okay, that's looking good. And that completes the netted part of this pattern. The next thing we'll do is add on the beads that will take us to the bottom of the float. As you can see on this purple one, we'll do these string of beads. I guess they're called dangles, that will go down so that we can connect the cover at the bottom of the float. At this point, you do want to have your beaded net cover kind of sitting on the float and holding it there in place. We're going to bring out the 8/0 gold beads again. We're going to start with an 8/0 gold bead. Pick up a blue bead and a gold bead, 11 O's, a 7 mm bugle bead, a blue bead, a gold bead, a blue bead, a gold bead, and then the bugle bead. So an 8/0 gold, 11/0 blue, 11/0 gold, the bugle bead, 11/0 gold, 11/0 blue, 11/0 gold, and a bugle bead. Now if you're using bigger bugles, longer bugle beads, you won't want to use as many of them as I'm using. I'm just checking my fit to see if that's going to take us down to the bottom of the float, and it looks like it will. So we can put the float aside for a second. So we've got a gold 11-0 blue gold bugle, gold blue gold bugle, gold blue gold bugle, and then a gold, a blue, and an 8-0 gold. And like I said, I'm using 7mm bugle beads, which are a little bit shorter. We're going to end that strand with an 8-0 gold bead. So now you're going to skip that gold bead on the end. Oh, looks like I'm tying a slip knot first to hold those beads in place. But then you're going to sew up through all those beads
How are you? You come up.
that you just added.
Come on. Come on. Come on up. You come up.
Make sure you sew through each bead. And pull your needle through. Okay, so that strand is attached. First of 16. You are going to make 16 of those strands of beads. Sew back down through the needle, the beads, until you get to the second gold bead. You're going to skip the first gold bead that's on the inside and sew through to the next gold bead on the point. So repeat the pattern. A gold 8-0, a blue 11-0, gold 11-0, and a bugle bead until you have 3 bugle beads, 3 sets of blue 11-0s, and a gold 11-0, blue 11-0, gold 11-0, ending with a gold 8-0. Okay, 3 bugles and 3 sets of the gold, blue, gold 11-0s. Tying a slip stitch at the end of that strand, adding the gold 8-0, and then you're going to sew back up through that strand of beads. Okay, you should have 16 of those beaded strands hanging off the bottom of your float cover now. And they should all be ending with a 8-0 gold bead or whatever color scheme you're using. So the next step is to close the bottom of that beaded cover. We're going to pick up 2 8/0 gold beads. So from the bottom of one 8/0 gold bead to the bottom of the next 8/0 gold bead on the next strand. So 2 8/0 gold beads sewing to the next strand hanging down with the 8/0 gold bead, and continue that all the way around until all of the strands are connected.
Right there.
And I like to use 8/0 gold beads, a bigger bead at the bottom, because there's going to be a lot of thread going through those beads by the time you get done. And it just makes it easier to get that, sew that thread through. We're going to be having the tassels hanging off the bottom of these gold beads at the bottom of the float cover. So it's nice to have a bead with a bigger bead on the bottom with a bigger hole. So we're just continuing all the way around, 2 8/0 gold beads between each strand of beads. Now you can find this pattern on YouTube. The channel is I Make Everything, and the episode is Make a Shiny Beaded Christmas Bauble, except that she gave instructions, but she didn't really show you how to make the cover, and her beaded cover was for an ornament, not for a float. An ornament has a little hook on the top to hang it by, where a float doesn't. Plus the float is a little bit bigger, so you have to adjust your net pattern according to the size of float that you are going to use. Okay, we've almost come all the way around. Pick up 2 more gold 8/0s and sew it through the first 8/0 and then continuing sewing through additional 8/0s. You're going to pull your thread very tight. You want this to be as tight as you can pull it. And then you're going to go ahead and sew through all of those 8/0 gold beads several times, just to reinforce those beads and make it strong, and to be able to pull those beads really tight. If you're using a nice strong thread like this 6-pound thread, you shouldn't have to worry about the thread breaking. And I think I went around through the beads probably 3 times. And you can see how tight I'm pulling that thread to make sure those beads are tight. And make sure that the cover is also tight on your float. Pulling it tight, I'm going to go ahead and sew a slip knot. And again, make sure that there aren't any gaps between the 8/0 beads. I'm going to go ahead and sew through some more beads. Pull it tight again. And do another slip knot. And there's our beaded cover secured to the glass float. Looks really good. You want to make sure that that is tight. And then we're ready for the next step.